and Commissioner Kathy Engelbert continue to stall, the uncertainty of a lockout is casting a long shadow over the most anticipated season in women's basketball history. Okay, the clock isn't just ticking, it's practically screaming. I agree with that. During a virtual negotiation session this past Monday, the WNBA delivered a stark ultimatum to the players' union. A deal
March 10th. That's the date circled in red on every WNBA calendar right now. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert just delivered an ultimatum to the players' union during a 2-hour virtual call this past Monday. Get a deal done by March 10th or the May 8th season opener is in jeopardy. And here's what makes this different from every other labor negotiation deadline you've seen. Caitlin Clark's name is attached to it. The schedule is already published. Tickets are already on sale. 2 expansion teams are waiting to draft players. And 80% of the league's roster is sitting in free agency limbo right now. But the players and owners can't agree on revenue sharing, and the clock isn't just ticking anymore, it's screaming.
With an expansion draft for 2 new teams on the horizon and a staggering 80% of the league's players currently sitting in free agency, the logistical nightmare of a delayed agreement will be catastrophic. Monday's meeting, which was forced into a virtual format due to a winter storm in New York, saw over 50 players join a 2-hour call that highlighted just how much work remains. Okay. And it's talking about the owners are not going to give in to this revenue sharing thing that these players continue to harp on. And it's just,
let's be clear about what's at stake here. This isn't just another CBA negotiation where both sides posture until the last minute and then shake hands. The WNBA is coming off its most successful season in history. Attendance records shattered. Viewership doubled in some markets. Corporate sponsors lined up with checkbooks open. And all of that momentum traces back to one player who's currently keeping her skills sharp while league executives and union reps argue over percentages. The expansion draft for Golden State and Toronto can't happen without a CBA. Free agency can't open, training camps can't start. The college draft scheduled for April sits in limbo. Every single domino in the offseason timeline depends on this March 10th deadline getting met. But here's the problem. Nobody's blinking yet.
Imposed deadline and the concomitant threats. The WNBA Players Association couldn't be more correct. If you are going to set a deadline for a negotiation, this is how I was taught to set a deadline. You say to a person that if we don't have an agreement by March 10th, the deal that you are pondering for acceptance by March 10th, which may be given to you March 9th, March 8th, March 7th, maybe we already gave it to you with the housing increases, the minimum increases, but no revenue sharing movement.
Now this is where it gets interesting. David Sampson, former Marlins president and someone who's negotiated his share of collective bargaining agreements, looked at this March 10th deadline and smiled. Not because he thinks it's effective, because he thinks it's weak. His point is simple. If you're going to set a deadline in a negotiation, it needs teeth, real consequences. The WNBA told the players' union that missing March 10th would impact the schedule. That's not leverage. That's a polite suggestion. Sampson's approach when he negotiated with players? Every day you don't accept this deal, the next offer gets worse. Accept it by the deadline, or watch your money shrink with each passing day. The WNBA didn't go that route. They set a date and vaguely threatened schedule complications. And according to Sampson, that's negotiating with one hand tied behind your back.
If you do not accept this deal by that day, every day following, our offer gets worse.
that I agree with that. I agree. I don't know why the WNBA is playing soft with the WNBPA. So, like, put your foot down. Put your foot down. Give them, look, y'all got till March 10th to agree. Every day you don't agree, we going less and less and less and less. That's what they should do. Or if you don't agree by March 10th, it's a lockout. We moving on replacement.
Think about the position this puts everyone in. The Players Association knows the league needs them more than ever right now. Caitlin Clark's rookie season drove unprecedented attention to the WNBA. Angel Reese, Paige Bueckers, Breanna Stewart, these names have cultural cash now. The players are currently in Miami and Las Vegas playing in Unrivaled, the 3-on-3 league that's paying them 6 figures just to show up. They're not desperate. They're not panicking about missing paychecks. But the owners, they've got a completely different problem. They finally have momentum. They finally have mainstream attention. They finally have proof that women's basketball can be a profitable venture. And all of that evaporates if there's no season in May, or if the season starts late and loses the summer sports calendar to the NBA playoffs and MLB pennant races. The Players Union responded to Monday's virtual meeting by essentially saying, "Your artificial deadline doesn't scare us. Show us real revenue sharing, or we're not moving."
Players. I agree. I feel like the WNBA is being too soft with these ladies, with the WNBPA.
I love that strategy. I used it with players all the time. You don't want to agree right now? Your next offer is lower. That is the punishment for not doing things on my time. Yes, I know. I know. The level of selfishness that I exhibited, the level of intensity that I exhibited seems insane now, given what I do for a living and given what's happening to me personally. The fact that I would need to win every single tiny battle as a way to guarantee a winning of the war. The WNBA didn't go far enough. The WNBA.
Here's the thing about leverage in sports negotiations. It's not about who needs the deal more. It's about who can afford to wait longer. And right now, the players have time on their side because they know what the league knows. Caitlin Clark is the draw, not the WNBA brand, not the commissioner, not the 30-year legacy of the league. One player from Iowa who shoots from the logo and sells out arenas. Sampson's strategy makes sense in theory. Tell the players, take this deal by March 10th, or every day after that, we reduce the offer. March 11th, lower salary cap. March 12th, reduced benefits. March 13th, we start talking about replacement players. That's how you create urgency. That's how you force a decision. But the WNBA can't do that, because if they push too hard and the Players Association calls their bluff, what happens? You think fans are going to show up to watch replacement players while Caitlin Clark sits at home? You think ESPN is going to broadcast games without the stars they spent all last season promoting? The league has leverage, but it's not the kind of leverage you can weaponize without destroying the very thing you're trying to protect.
Ever. Is there a scenario where you could conduct a 2-team expansion draft, have free agency where 80% of the women are free agents currently, side note, have training camp, do the college draft, then start the regular season right now scheduled for May 8th. If you think that the players believe that March 10th is the deadline in order to start the season on May 8th, then you've never done a fire drill. You've never had to put on a show, whether it is a nothing personal show or a baseball game.
Let's talk about what the players actually want, because this isn't just about salary increases. The WNBA already offered raises to minimum contracts and housing stipends. Those are on the table. The sticking point is revenue sharing. The players want a percentage of league revenue, similar to what NBA players get. 50% of basketball-related income split among the players. The owners are refusing, and their argument has some merit. The WNBA still operates at a loss in most markets. The league is subsidized by the NBA. Revenue sharing works when there's consistent profit to share. Right now, the WNBA's financial model depends on growth projections and optimistic forecasting based on last season's Caitlin Clark bump. But here's the counter-argument the players are making. If you're selling us on the league's bright future, if you're telling corporate sponsors that women's basketball is about to explode, if you're charging premium prices for expansion franchises, then put your money where your mouth is. Give us a piece of that future revenue you're so confident about.
More pressure to the WNBPA. And I've seen it, shout out to y'all. It be a lot of y'all in the comments. I've been seeing say this for months now. Lessen the offer. Every time they send you a bogus response, offer them less. I've seen a lot of y'all in the comments saying this, man. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you think about this, man. Let's keep the vision.
So we're 12 days away from March 10th. 12 days until we find out if this deadline has any real meaning or if it's just another arbitrary date that gets pushed back when both sides realize they're not ready to make a deal. Here's what we know for certain. The logistics are real. You cannot conduct an expansion draft, process 80% of the league through free agency, hold training camps, and execute a college draft in less than 2 months. It's not physically possible. Something has to give. Either the deadline moves, the season opener moves, or somebody blinks in the next 12 days and accepts a deal they're not completely happy with. And that's where Caitlin Clark's shadow looms over everything. Because the longer this drags out, the more the narrative becomes the WNBA finally got mainstream attention and then immediately fumbled it with a labor dispute. That's not the headline the league wants. That's not the story that keeps casual fans engaged. That's not the momentum you carry into a season where you're supposed to be capitalizing on last year's success. David Sampson is right about one thing. If you're going to set a deadline, make it mean something. Make the consequences clear. Make the cost of missing it worse than the cost of accepting a compromise. The WNBA tried to do that with March 10th, but they didn't go far enough. They didn't make it hurt. And now we wait 12 days to find out if this league can get out of its own way long enough to play basketball. 12 days to see if the biggest season in WNBA history happens on time, happens late, or doesn't happen at all until somebody finally blinks. The players are in Miami playing 3-on-3. The owners are watching ticket sales and sponsor commitments. And Caitlin Clark is sitting in the middle of it all, the one name everyone agrees matters most, waiting to find out when she's allowed to play. The March 10th deadline is supposed to create urgency. Instead, it's created a staring contest. And in a staring contest, the person who needs to blink first usually loses. Right now, nobody knows who that is. But we're about to find out. So here's the question. Should the WNBA have taken David Sampson's advice and made every day past March 10th more painful for the players? Should they have threatened to reduce the offer instead of just threatening schedule complications? Or would that have backfired and turned public opinion against the league during the most important offseason in WNBA history? Drop your take in the comments. Because this deadline is coming whether anyone's ready or not.